Hey, this is just out of this world whacked. Donald Trump is now saying to Republican voters, if the so-called fraud isn't fixed for the 2022 and 2024 elections, Republicans shouldn't even vote. To which I say, absolutely. I would never go out and say don't vote because it goes against my beliefs about participation in democracy to tell people to stay home. It just wouldn't feel right. But if Trump wants to do it and say to his Republican followers, don't vote, by all means, that sounds great to me. So let's talk about what's going on. Donald Trump tells Republicans not to vote in 22 or 24. In a new statement that he would have posted on Twitter himself if his account wasn't permanently suspended for inciting violence, former President Trump urged supporters not to vote in the two upcoming elections if the Republican Party doesn't, quote, solve the supposed voter fraud that he has falsely claimed precipitated his loss to President Joe Biden. Donald Trump's full statement, published to the desk of Donald Trump on his website, says, if we don't solve the presidential election fraud, that's capitalized, guys. Fraud is capitalized. If we don't solve the presidential election fraud of 2020, which we have thoroughly and conclusively documented, that's not true, Republicans will not be voting in 22 or 24. It is the single most important thing for Republicans to do. Now, it's grammatically ambiguous whether he says the most important thing to do is to solve the fraud or the most important thing to do is not to vote in 22 or 24 if the fraud is not solved. Now, there's two stories here. One is Trump publishing this just a distraction? And you might say, well, David, a distraction from what? There is a new report from the House Oversight Committee, which we will talk about later in the show, which found that Donald Trump received millions of dollars from foreign governments through the Trump hotels, hid his debts, and hid his losses. It's an insane blockbuster report. So part of it would be maybe Trump is saying this to distract from that story. And we'll talk about that later. The second part here is that this is the way that narcissists behave, quite frankly. If your parents say, hey, little Donnie, it's time to go home, let's leave the sandbox now. Donnie is the type of kid who would poop in the sandbox to shut it down so nobody else can play in the sandbox. When Trump is losing at an interview, like when he's not doing well in an interview, he's asking questions that are making him look bad, he walks out or he attacks the reporter. When he's losing elections, he says they're fake, and now he's telling people not to vote. I actually laughed. I was thinking about when during a press briefing, when Donald Trump did a press briefing as president, and he was asked, what do you say to people who are watching you right now and are scared? This was when COVID deaths were skyrocketing in 2020. And Trump says, I would say you're a terrible reporter. That's what I would say. This is how he behaves. And he is saying, they didn't let me become president for 4 more years. So I'm just going to try to ruin it for everybody. Republicans didn't work hard enough to steal the election for me. Nobody did. And so now I'm going to say don't vote and ruin everything for the party, which I think is great. I think it's great. Now, it's a very dire message in a sense, in terms of being a threat to the Republican Party. Trump's saying, either get behind me and support all this crazy stuff I'm doing and saying, or I'm going to actively try to destroy the party by telling our voters not to vote in 2022 and 2024. It's like a Trump way or the highway sort of thing. And I absolutely love it. Like I said, I cannot in good conscience myself tell people don't vote, don't participate. It's a form of voter suppression. I won't do it. But if Trump is telling them, by all means, listen to the guy. If you still follow him, if you trust him, if you believe in him, prove it by listening to what he's saying. These are the sorts of techniques that would really only work to manipulate morons and dolts, quite frankly. I mean, let's be a little more polite. Low information voters, ignorant individuals. But if this is what he's doing, let him have at it. And I guess, to some degree, Trump must see voting in 22 as acknowledging that the 2020 election was legitimate. I don't even know that that's really the case. I think many Republicans would vote in 22 without acknowledging that 2020 was legit. For Trump, it appears that way. And so he's trying to own the libs by saying, don't vote. Own us, please. Show us. I challenge these Republicans. Show us how strong you are by doing what Trump says and not voting in 2022 and 2024. I won't suggest it, but if Trump's saying it, go with it. I welcome it. And the real question is, will they listen to him? Will they listen to him? Let us know your thoughts. We'll have more coverage of this bizarre, but quite frankly, welcome statement from Trump on the show's Instagram, at David Pakman Show on Instagram. Find us there. If you follow me on social media, you know I love growing my own food in my backyard garden, and our sponsor, Lettuce Grow, has made growing food at home simpler than ever. The Lettuce Grow Farm Stand is a vertical stand that can be inside or outside, where you can grow over 200 varieties of fruits and vegetables. The farm stand waters and fertilizes itself. It does all the work for you. You can grow up to 36 plants at a time. Lettuce Grow sends you the seedlings, and then your food is ready to eat in 4 to 6 weeks. I've had a great experience with the Lettuce Grow Farm Stand. I've been growing delicious tomatoes, strawberries, eggplant. It only takes up 4 square feet, fits anywhere. I can move it around. Very, very easy. Growing your own food is so rewarding. Lettuce Grow makes it easy for anyone, and Lettuce Grow is giving my audience $50 off the farm stand. Just go to lettucegrow.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman. The link is down below.